الدبابة وين؟
جنبية.
الدبابة جنبكم؟ ما عم تتحرك ولا واقف؟ نزل حدا منها؟
هي بتتحرك.
تتحرك؟
ميتين.
ميتين؟ وهم هلا بعد بالسيارة؟ انت هلا وين متخبية هلا؟ وين انت هلا محمية؟
بالسيارة.
جوا السيارة انت صح؟ مش برا السيارة؟
صح.
طيب خليكي يا عمري بالسيارة، انا رح اتمني فاتحة الخط معاكي، اتمني احكي معك، ما بدي اسكر التليفون، تمام؟ ايش يا عمري؟ يا حبيبتي يا عمري والله معك، هيني انا مش تاركك بحكي معاكي، ما بدي اصلا اتركك. حبيبتي والله لو بايدي لاذيكي. نحكي يا الله يا رب تحمينا.
يا رب تحمينا. خذيني تعالي.
اجي اخذك؟ حبيبتي طيب ما انا يا حبيبتي رح اجي اخذك. هلا عمو من الهلال عماله عم بنصك عشان احنا نقدر نيجي ناخذك. حواليكي في ضرب رصاص؟
خذيني
يا حبيبتي والله بدي اخذك بس مش بايدي هلا.
This is the voice of the child named Hind Rajab, whose body was found in a destroyed car with 335 bullets shot at it, discovered after 2 weeks of her getting brutally murdered by the Israeli forces. In the early days of 2024, Gaza was once again drowning in smoke, rubble, and fear. For many children, the war was the only world they had ever known. But for 6-year-old Hind Rajab, the war wasn't just a distant sound in the sky. It was close. It was personal. And eventually, it was fatal. This is her story. Hind lived in Tel Al-Hawa, a neighborhood in Gaza City. She was like any child her age, joyful, curious, playful. She loved her family. She loved life. But on January 29, 2024, her world changed forever. That day, Israeli tanks had surrounded the neighborhood. Bombs and gunfire echoed non-stop. Families were fleeing in any direction they could. Hind and her family, her uncle, her aunt, and their children, climbed into a black Kia Picanto, desperate to escape. But they never made it. As they tried to flee, the car came under fire. The tank shells, gunshots, and the thunder of war grew louder, until they were right there. The car was hit. People inside were killed. But 2 children survived the initial attack, Hind and her 15-year-old cousin, Layan Hamadeh. In a moment of unimaginable courage, Layan did something that may have been her last hope. She picked up a phone and called the Palestine Red Crescent. Her voice trembled as she begged for help. "There's a tank next to us, they're shooting at us," she whispered. "We're scared." Then, the line went quiet. Layan was killed during that call. The Red Crescent operator on the other end could do nothing but listen as her voice was silenced by gunfire. But Hind was still alive. Alone. Trapped. Wounded. Surrounded by the lifeless bodies of her loved ones. She found the phone. And somehow, despite the terror, despite the blood, she spoke. "I'm so scared. Please come get me. Everyone is dead." For more than 3 hours, Hind stayed on that phone call. Her voice, small, fragile, crying, pleading, floated through the static. She begged not to be left behind. "Please don't leave me. I'm afraid. I don't want to die." The operator stayed on the line with her, trying to reassure her, trying to guide her through the terror. But the Red Crescent couldn't move without permission. The Israeli military had surrounded the area. Still, after hours of pleading, they agreed to allow an ambulance in. 2 paramedics, Yusef Zeno and Ahmed Al-Madhoun, volunteered to go. They knew the risks. They knew they might not return. But they went anyway. To save a little girl. And then, they too disappeared. For 12 days, no one heard from Hind again. The phone call had ended. The ambulance never came back. And in Gaza, where the dead are buried faster than names can be remembered, she became one more missing voice in the rubble. Then on February 10, the truth came to light. The Red Crescent found the black Kia. It was riddled with bullet holes. Inside were the bodies of Hind's uncle, aunt, and their 3 children. Near the back seat, Hind slumped over. Lifeless. Her small body covered in dust and blood. Not far from the car was the ambulance. It had been blown apart. The charred remains of the 2 paramedics lay nearby. They had been bombed. Despite being cleared to enter. Despite coordinating their route. It was clear what happened. Hind wasn't killed in crossfire. She wasn't the victim of a stray bullet. She had been deliberately left. And when help was sent, it was deliberately destroyed. This wasn't a tragedy. It was an execution. And yet, the world barely noticed. Photos of Hind's face began to circulate. Her dark hair. Her quiet smile. Her innocent eyes. People began asking questions. Why wasn't more done? Why did she die begging for rescue that never came? Why did the world fail her? Human rights investigators began analyzing the scene. They reviewed satellite images, audio logs, military movements. They concluded what most already knew: the Israeli tank crew likely fired directly on the car. And they later targeted the ambulance that tried to save her. Forensic analysis confirmed Hind had survived for hours after the initial attack. Long enough to be saved. But no one came in time. In the months that followed, Hind's name became a symbol. College students in the U.S. renamed buildings Hind's Hall during protests. Artists painted murals. Songs were written in her name. Macklemore released a song titled Hind's Hall, using her story as a call to conscience. In Brussels, a human rights foundation was created in her memory, the Hind Rajab Foundation, dedicated to documenting war crimes and advocating for children trapped in war zones. In May 2025, the family filed a complaint with the International Criminal Court. They named the officer allegedly in command of the unit that killed her. They asked for justice. Not just for Hind, but for all the innocent children who are treated as enemies in their own homes. But whether justice ever comes, remains uncertain. What is certain is this: Hind Rajab should be alive today. She should be playing with her cousins. She should be getting ready for school. She should be giggling in the back seat of that car, not dying in silence. She was 6 years old. She did nothing wrong. She asked for help. And she was ignored. Her voice, soft, shaking, barely above a whisper, still haunts the people who heard it. And it should haunt us too. Because Hind Rajab wasn't just a victim. She was a child. She was a daughter. She was a sister. She was a life. A life that mattered. A life that deserved saving. So when the world asks why we speak up, why we protest, why we share stories like Hind's, it's because silence is complicity. And silence is what killed her. This isn't war. It's a genocide.